Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Vaesen Behind the Masks. If you've been following our campaign, you'll know that the story is finished. But I thought this would be a great chance a few weeks later for us to get together one more time and have a chat about the campaign and the stories, about the characters, the players, what they thought. And actually just a relaxing night. We'll just have a chin wag and just enjoy each other's company for one more night. What could possibly go wrong? So we welcome back Blake, Sharon, and Jim.
G'day.
The gang is back. That's the way we like it. So yeah, 39 sessions. I don't know if I can count this as number 40. I don't know. I mean, I would like to in terms of roundness, but...
A better number for sure.
But it's a good, long campaign. I'm well pleased, and I want to say thank you to you all. You guys, I think, really played the game well. You played your characters wonderfully, and I so thoroughly enjoyed messing with them every way I could.
I mean, in fairness, I was pretty amazing, I have to say.
You were. Did you listen to that last podcast, Blake? Because I know you couldn't make it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So...
I was going, oh my God, they've left the kids in the caves and just wandered off.
Crossed my mind a few times.
I kind of forgot about them until after the fact.
There are some things that would have happened off screen.
Yeah, like when you went to the nearest village, you said, go and get the kids. The bear's taken care of. Here's this goat like bear head in the wagon. I don't know. You didn't touch the body, did you? You just burnt it.
Yeah, they just burnt it.
Yeah.
Flambe with a side of wolf, I believe.
There's a lot of meat there. Could have sold that at the village or what? fair chunk of goat.
Hairy bear goat.
Yeah, that kind of would have ruined it was a very, very hungry bear.
There was the illusion in place. You couldn't wreck the illusion. So, if we're happy, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through that campaign bit by bit, and I'm going to disclose little things here and there just to make things interesting. And feel free to chime in with your opinions and comments. So, do you remember the very first thing we discussed when we started the campaign, which was that mad carriage ride through the forest with a carriage being knocked over and a little boy being rescued?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scotland.
Scotland, good old Scotland.
Was that Dr. Bennett or?
No, that was
No,
No,
not me.
No. This happened 20 years previously in 1846. And as Sharon correctly surmised, yes, it was Cesare. But you had it in your mind that he was going to go into a workhouse or something. He wasn't. He was actually a lovingly adopted boy to this young couple who tragically got killed by some unknown Vaesen in the Scottish Highlands. And he got found by none other than Black Rose, and then they adopted him. So it's all right. Workhouse was certainly a reasonable argument, 100%, because really, unfortunately, that's what most kids faced back in those days, and they were horrific conditions. So I just had to give Cesare something good, and for me, it kind of sparked that visceral hatred for the Vaesen, that zealot level hatred, because he saw something and witnessed his parents being murdered by this creature, and no argument you could have proposed to him would have changed his mind. So it was fun. It was just kind of, I even messed with my NPCs. What can I say?
Not even your own subconscious is safe from yourself.
No, nothing is sacred. Nothing is safe. And then, of course, 20 years later, you all go to the villa. Happy days. Interesting. So, I know your characters all agreed, but do you think for them it was a bit of a stretch, or do you think your characters would have got that missive and responded to it?
I think responding to the missive was tap dancing on a stretch. But I
Mhm.
think once there, I was pretty confident that there was a way of thinking that made sense
Yeah.
for Bennett to be like, oh, this is God closing a door and opening a window kind of situation. He wouldn't put it in exactly those words, obviously, but
And he would see the logic of it.
yeah.
And you're right. And that's probably one of those clunky things with Vaesen. It's that initial, any campaign, any game, getting people together. You have to either engineer something or you start as a known group. So it's one of those trickier little things, but you guys said all did it well, and you played absolute strangers to begin with, and you bonded over time. So
I think Severino was more kind of working class. He's like, holy crap, this is a palace. If I don't deserve to be here, I'm going to work myself up to making sure I am worth being here, sort of thing. It's like, bugger it, I'm not going to waste this opportunity.
yeah, I hear you. Absolutely. I think Severino had the biggest leap, if you will.
Yeah,
all
culturally,
the
it's like,
characters.
holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like small cabin, army barracks, palace. It's like,
Pretty cool,
wow.
huh?
Yeah.
And it's a magical palace that hated your guts.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I got the last-
interesting.
I got the last laugh, though.
That, unless I missed
It
something,
was-
that never came up, right? That part.
No.
No.
Severino was very good at burying those little things. Like, you may have noticed a door wouldn't open for him as easily as did you, or a window would jam, but I think he just would have gone, whatever.
Right.
Sorry, Sharon, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say, Agatha, for the longest time, was convinced that the message wasn't actually for her, but was for her.
Really? Ah, yes, her husband, her dear departed,
Her dear departed whatever.
and Cesare's father.
Yes.
Oh, what? Jim, your look of shock was just.
I feel like this is one of those iceberg videos that you watch where it's like you've
It is.
yeah.
There's a lot of berg under this ice. Do you want to explain, Sharon?
Okay, so the backstory was that Agatha was a minister's daughter, and she had met an Italian traveller when she was a teenager, and they had had a torrid affair. She ended up pregnant, went to Scotland, gave up the baby, as you do, and never saw him again until she was working as a governess and ended up in Italy, and then came across him again.
Her husband, not her son.
Yeah.
The son comes later.
Yes. And then he died and left her his fortune. So that's how she was a woman of means when she had been a governess. So
That's Agatha's history in a little nutshell.
yeah, in a very small nutshell.
Of course, there's always nuances and stuff. But yeah, that's how that all came to play. So, do you remember the first mystery?
Puppet.
Puppet. And of course, I introduced the carver as well.
Yeah. That was it was funny when that came back because I was like a dog with a bone looking for that guy in the first mystery, and then eventually I got the like GM. It's not relevant right now. You're never gonna find him. Let it go. And I was like, all right, fine.
Back off. But you found him. Just not what you were expecting.
He didn't come back. Yeah.
It did come back. So yeah, like for me, it's a little standalone mystery, and it was just, I guess, like a pilot episode. It was more to get your characters working together, understand how Vaesen worked, how the whole investigation system works, how you find clues, how you use those clues, how you fight a Vaesen, and so it was a good little standalone. And it was I like it because it wasn't complex, and it was, compared to later sessions, this was almost innocent. Like, everything got a lot more darker as things progressed. This was still very...
I liked it because it was a
level.
bit different. Like a lot of stuff in this genre, or even modern supernatural genre, it starts with a murder, which is motivated by greed or jealousy or something. But this wasn't that. It was a bit different. It was out in the country. It was a boy with a possessed puppet and stuff. And yeah, it was good. It was a good start. Something different.
Yeah. Didn't want to throw you guys headfirst into, Krampus. That's just no fun.
Yeah, I think Bennett needed it because on the spectrum of I know what magic is and I know that it's real, and like I'll never believe anything supernatural exists, Bennett was, I think, far further along as that spectrum than the rest of the party.
Yeah.
And I think if we'd gone straight into that plague doctor is real and he's causing the plague or whatever, I think Bennett just would have spent the whole mystery going, no, I don't think so. I think it's just bullshit.
Yeah. But
So seeing the doll having like, oh, this kid's sick, or the parents are getting worried over nothing, and then seeing like a puppet head move independently, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's clearly something weird.
that ain't right.
Yeah.
No, but Bennett's progression, and that's what I love about everyone's character, in all honesty. You played your characters. You didn't take unbelievable leaps of logic or faith outside of what your character was capable of, and I absolutely thought you guys smashed that. It was fantastic.
Well, to his dying day, Severino knew that vinegar is the best way to cleanse yourself.
I'm into that.
It's only a matter of time before he'd convince Bennett that it was.
So yeah, I think you guys did that remarkably well. And yeah, it wasn't a big Vaesen. It was a little
shit.
little dastardly imp. Yeah, exactly. Just causing mischief, and that's all it did. It caused mischief. It whispered words in people's ears. Well, it's the boys' ears, because how easy is it to manipulate a small child versus a full-grown adult? He couldn't manipulate you guys. He didn't even try. He just did a psychic attack when you tried to burn him. But oh well, all's fair in love and war. But yes, so you got free bread for life as a result of that one. So that's not too bad. I love it. So yeah, so that was our first one with the Bambala. This is also when we had that mirror delivered to the villa. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah, which ended up getting shot
It got shot and it shattered.
and buried. Oh, it's still buried in the villa. Oh,
Someone should put like a sign up.
yeah. But yeah.
In Pixie, don't dig here.
I was gonna ask on that.
Yeah.
Was it, if it was, how challenging was surgically removing Adelaide stuff? Because obviously, in retrospect, it's pretty clear that everyone's backstories was very directly connected to the plot. I mean, we're fighting Severino's villain as the villain of the whole story.
Correct.
So I can only assume that Adelaide had similar connections.
Yes.
Yeah, how was that? Did they stay, or did you sort of push them to the side?
So I will tell you Adelaide's story because I actually really like this and I was so excited to deploy it, and I couldn't quite deploy it to its fullest extent. But you thwarted me as well to a little degree, but I'll explain in a moment. So Adelaide's story was actually going to be the last one of the campaign. So it was going to be Severino, and then Adelaide was going to finish it off. And Adelaide was not a princess of Scilly, which is an island in the UK, but she was groomed to be the next queen of the Vaesen population there. Like, there's an undersea kingdom. She was groomed to be the next ruler with her husband. she was the consort. And she didn't want any part of that, so she fled, which is then why she spent the last several years bopping around Europe, because, hey, that's what we do. We run from our issues. We don't face it. So once she comes to the villa and joins your little motley crew and her location stabilizes, that is the perfect time for Chessidae, who was the unknown Monsieur M, to have this mirror delivered to her. Because the mirror, as you know, is not an ordinary mirror. No, no, no. It's a portal. It's a portal to, well, let's just say, not a demon realm, but it's a portal to another place. In that other place was a succubus. Hang on, succubus or incubus? Incubus, the male version. So, you remember that first couple nights with the mirror? She was having some really wild dreams. Yeah, she was getting some nighttime visitations, and instead of the incubus doing the nasty, it was actually giving her energy, which is why she was feeling so great. And I would have actually hand that up pretty much. Then it would have been reversed. So the incubus then would have started draining her and draining her and draining her. Now, 10 points to the person, Gryffindor. Sharon's wearing, a Hogwarts t-shirt. 10 points to the house, who can. So name the disease that was rampant in the 19th century that led to wasting away, coughing up blood.
Syphilis or consumption.
No.
Consumption. Tuberculosis. Right. Syphilis, 100% was there as well. But no, it was going to replicate the symptoms of consumption, tuberculosis. And that way it was going to drive her to the point where she either had to accept the crown and thus the immortality that goes with it, or remain mortal and die. Which is why that was going to be the final thing. And that mirror, only a Vaesen could go in and out, which is why when everyone else handled it, nothing happened. It was only when Artemisia was there, who is half Vaesen, it was enough for her to be partly dragged through. So that was the whole mirror. And you thwarted me by smashing it and burying it. Once we lost Adelaide, the incubus wasn't going to make any more trouble per se for you. It was more, there was another avenue to investigate that link to Chessidae and identify him. That's all that would have been for you. But that's okay. That's half the fun of it. I just didn't get to use that all, unfortunately. And then we had the ghost story.
Wasn't it the water lady? The lady in the water thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I remember is with the puppet one, Bennett
yep.
sort of stepped up and did his, medical stuff and cancelling the boy and all that, and there was a lot of medical roles. Whereas in the second one, Agatha kind of stepped up and did networking with the prostitutes and the priests and like a lot of people, because we were in town at that point. So there was, she did a bunch of networking. And it was like, oh, okay, so yeah, she really stepped up, got into second gear, however you want to phrase it, and it was good. It was doing that. I was still kind of playing catch up to those two at that point.
It was fantastic. And that's the trick, not the tricky thing. It's you guys have all run games as well. Getting information to the players can be quite challenging, and you don't always want to give it in the same way, which is why we use NPCs to deliver information. And I was using other articles like newspapers and books and songs and poems, any way to get information to you guys. So yeah, utilizing those NPC networks was definitely helpful, and you cultured those NPC networks throughout the campaign as well.
I think we found a real gem in the working girls.
Boy, let me tell you, that there's something that just spiraled right out of hand. Like, normally as a DM, I'm used to saying something offhandedly and it getting like obsessed upon, but it was weird as a player to make one offhanded like conversation with a woman of the night, and then that just be the thing. But yeah, with that second investigation, obviously Bennett was still doing plenty of doctor sort of medical roles, and let me just say, love a morgue. It's so good in every campaign. I wish I could have a morgue thing. I think that just like horror in particular. I just think that
oddly specific, but go on.
it is oddly specific, but I just think it is just like the most like naturally horrifying modern-esque building. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But yeah, basically in that second investigation, Bennett really was for the most part just this isn't normal detector, right? Like
Yeah.
you could just look at things and go, that's not normal. And then you'd have to look at Agatha or Severino to go from there.
Yeah.
And because we're in town, we were kind of proving ourselves to Artemisia and Vittorio as well.
Correct.
We were like, look, we are helping people.
Yes.
It's right in front of you. So it
Yeah.
was, their faith or their efforts were rewarded.
Definitely. No, as I said, it was good because every episode, every session, you just continue to build on those foundations. You set the foundations in Mystery 1, and you continue to build on them and build on them and build on them, which is what you would do in real life. That's what I love. And yes, the mood scene was gross.
I've got one session notes that's like 90% of it is like the myths we dug up, and there's like 3 of them here.
Yep.
And it's great because it was just like, when you DM, it's something that you were really good at, is that if you want the truth to be super detailed, then your lies need to be as equally detailed, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yep.
So having like 2 extra stories here that are basically irrelevant so is
like, damn it.
yeah, really impressive, because like it's not like I couldn't read these 3 and go, oh, that's clearly the main character one, it's like
They are, you see my quotation marks fingers here, they are true ghost stories to Venice. I just tweaked them, especially the story for this character I've just tweaked slightly, but yeah, they are ghost stories specific to Venice. So I thought, what a great way to bring them back to life, because I had such a hard time trying to find myths and legends I could play with. It's just, I don't know if it's because I was searching in English, I was searching in Italian, I would have had more, fruitful results. But from the English side of things, it's actually quite a small pool. When you look at what we've got in our, the Brothers Grimm and so forth, look at Walt Disney, anything like that, there's such a massive amount of material. And then searching for Italian folklore stuff, I was like, oh, this is okay. I have to pad this out a little bit. So it's kind of nice to bring some bits and pieces of the light. But my fellow Italians, please don't come for me. I know there was a lot of liberties taken. Ah, dear. Nothing more upsetting than an upset Italian. This was also the episode where you met Anna La Rosa, the Benedictini, who do exist. They might still exist up in the mountains. I mean, that's what they did. Mountain witches, I guess, healers, shaman. So I thought it was a great way to bring that aspect in as well and have her as an ally, not just to you, but to the society in general, but not part of society.
I wasn't sure because I'm paranoid, so I automatically assumed she was a double agent going to try and stab Artemisia at some point. But I'm paranoid. That's just me.
I did not. That's fine. That's understandable.
That's why I kept interacting with her, because I want to keep an eye on her. Because I'm like, don't know.
I completely assumed on that vein that we were going to get left on the Plague Island.
Ah. It's a long swim back.
Yes, it did occur to me.
I mean, by that point, you had also seen some betrayal, you'd seen some shenanigans. You realised that there were things in play bigger than you. Yeah, I 100% get that.
Much bigger with sharp teeth.
But no, alas, Anna de la Rosa was, she was just a earnest, with hardworking kitchen witch, really. She did the best she could. So yes, that was Mystery 2. Oh, but this is also where Dr. Bennett comes across Mr. Jimmy Doyle.
Not to mention his father, the other Dr. Bennett.
The other senior Bennett, Walter. So do tell us what do tell us the trauma that Walter inflicted upon you.
Well, other than a few details, I think most of it sort of came out, like you said, this sort of thing. So basically, Theodore Bennett is an orphan. I never really came up for anything what happened to his parents. Doesn't really matter.
Didn't need to.
And this was the reason he was a orphan who then became a doctor was because I literally couldn't figure out which class I wanted to play. There was like a roguey one, and then there was a doctor, and I just kept flip-flopping. I was like, I'm just gonna like do both,
Pick
but
one.
be the doctor. And so I got adopted by Dr. Bennett Senior, who was like a single aging guy, and basically he brought me in to be like his legacy. And I think he's a complicated character because I don't think he's actually wholly a bad person. Obviously, I mean, he brought Bennett in and he raised him, but he was also had a pretty strict hand, and he knew how to punish someone in such a way that you wouldn't leave bruises, which namely was via drowning, basically holding underwater. And then I think that's when Bennett like had his, I can't remember what it's called, but like the awakening kind of thing where he could start seeing Vaesen. And then he eventually became a doctor, opened his own practice because that's what his dad wanted him to do, to prove that he could stand on his own 2 feet, and subsequently couldn't stand on his own 2 feet. And basically just got his kind of hand stuck in the honeypot of making deals with this organization.
The Resurrection Men?
Basically giving them, hearts and bodies, and I think I kept it vague in the back story whether or not he ever got to the point where he, let somebody die to have a body. I think in retrospect, based off how Bennett ended up being morally, I don't think he did, but I think he
I don't think so either.
I think
We've all sold dead bodies to get through TAFE and stuff. That's fine. We've all got hex stats.
Yeah, those hex stats aren't, you can't mess with them. I think in retrospect, I don't think he did, but I think that was the path he was on before he decided to flee, basically. And I think that's like sort of most of his, he didn't have, he had his connection to the Vaesen was very loose. I think for the most part, I think he just thought he had I don't know if he'd have the words for it, but he probably just thought he had some kind of psychological issue.
And also in England, he wouldn't have probably come across a lot of Vaesen, especially not in the industrial era, not unless you're out in the countryside. Or you might have seen a couple, but just written it off as, oh, that's just swamp gas.
I am just realizing how evil having the ghost almost drown Bennett was.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I was like, why did I make a character afraid of water for a Venice campaign?
To be fair, I didn't say you were going to be dragged in my notes. It was anyone that was going to come close.
And he wasn't. He was not the first one to go.
No, it was me.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, I don't think he was even the second person to go close. I think he waited until Agatha was also struggling, and only then was he that I feel like it was justifiable that he could push past, put aside the fear.
Yes, that was the start of my breaking poor Bennett.
I do have some thoughts about what's his name, Jimmy Doyle or whatever.
Jimmy Doyle,
and all that stuff, but we'll get there.
We will get there. We will get there. So, yeah, you were fighting with Elena because Elena had Severino underwater. She was killing Severino
Killing me softly.
with her song. And you came across Yasir, who is this elderly Arabian Moor male, who told you to use the sword, and he threw a sword cane at you, and you were going to dispatch Elena, and then you thought, no, let's woo her instead.
Yeah. There's part of me that was like, oh, of course, we'd learned from the puppet that, violence isn't the direct way, blah, blah. But there's also part of me that's like, oh, my melee skill is not going to cut it.
But it played out very well because it very much did become Dr. Bennett would look for any other alternative rather than stabby.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, he's still protecting his patients even though they're dead for several hundred years. But no, it was kind of nice in that the only way you could make good with her was to make her believe that you were her husband and seeking forgiveness, and she forgave you for murdering her. It's complicated. Love is complicated and it makes you do stupid things. But yes, again, another Italian myth I pulled out. So I like that story actually. It was good.
Yeah, that was one of those moments that I just felt like was like really perfect. It wasn't designed to end up in Bennett's hands, but it did feel like a very poignant moment for his sort of character.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he already had the clinic at that point or if it was after that.
No, it wasn't there yet.
Yeah, I think that was sort of like, obviously it was always a plan to open the clinic, but I think at that point it had been like, for us, like we need a doctor's office.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and then at that point it's like, oh no, like, yeah, can help other people. That's good.
It was a good solid story, so I'm happy with how that played out. And
when I don't know if I'm sure you felt this way, but as a DM, it is so good to have a Severino type character who will just go, what? It's in the water over there? Well, I walk up to
I'll
that
go.
water.
It's like, yes. And there closes the trap.
Yeah. That's part of it. Is he had some issues he wasn't dealing with and keeping busy.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll tell you about his backstory later.
Yes, he's got a doozy.
It was strangely nice to not be that player for once who sees the big red button and goes, can I just touch it? What happens if I just... Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's awesome. I had fun. I had a lot of fun with that one. So then we kind of rolled on to Mystery 3. Figlio Perduto, the Lost Son. Which is actually interesting, and it was different for me as a GM because I didn't give you a mystery per se. There was no big bad thing to deal with. It was more setting the basis for the Society of the Black Rose, so introducing that into the campaign, and just trying to show the world existing around you. And that was my goal throughout this whole campaign, actually. You were players in a bigger game, which is why you weren't facing the really big bads until the last session. You weren't facing the Society of Black Rose directly, because they're just far bigger than you. But I wanted to give the world a sense of space and breadth, things happening around you with and without your input. And this was kind of where I started to work that into the campaign. So I enjoyed it. It is a bit different. That's probably the big deviation we had. But I thought it just gave the campaign a three-dimensionality, which a lot of games kind of lack, I find. But I'm thinking...
I can't even really put my finger on it. I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't know why, but I mean, it was cool. But we meet the Ice Queen, and that's cool. That's good. And then we get teleported to the forest. And I think that's where that session ended.
Kind of. Like, you met Cesare.
Oh, we did miss Cesare.
You met Cesare and Lucrezia.
Just remember the session, when we ended the session where we were now in the forest, for some reason, that was like the most excited I was for the next session. I don't know what it was. It just really it clicked. Like I was just really
felt like we went up a gear, things were moving.
Yeah, and it was just like the rug pull out from under you, like...
Well, we're in it now.
Yeah.
That's it. You leveled up. Congratulations.
I really liked it. It was definitely something that I want to steal for my thing. It's just take the characters and then in an instant completely change the circumstances of what they're dealing with.
Yeah. It's a good way. I also think like a writer because I write more than I game. So I think like a writer. So it's a good way of changing locations. It's a good way of changing people's thought processes. They're trying to deal with what the hell's happening. Like their whole world just gets turned upside down and it's fun.
And it was like the shift happened as you're just about to confront the plague doctor. So it's like, what the heck?
Yes, because since the very start of the game, I'd been hinting that there was a man in a plague doctor's uniform running around and people ending up dead. And I knew you'd run towards it. I knew you'd fall for it.
Oh, I thought that was, for the first 6 sessions or 12 episodes or whatever, I thought that was Order of the Black Rose killing other Vaesen in the city. That's what I thought that was, but no, off base.
No. Yep. But that's okay. That's a concept. You've worked into a theory and then you've seen something that's just proved it. And that's just the way life is. So,
I kind of liked it with the mask, the plague doctor, is that we never actually had a confrontation with the plague doctor. And so even after defeating him,
correct.
He still remained, or it still remained quite mysterious in a even though it was defeated. And that's an interesting experience that I don't normally see. So I thought that was cool too.
That plague doctor was too high a level, if you will. I mean, this thing would kill within minutes, less of touching you. Like you just expire. And I just couldn't think of a way for your characters to work around that. So for me, it actually made sense. You defeat it by reburying its bones and put a genie back in the bottle. It was literally that sort of idea, putting the genie back in the bottle while it's being kept distracted over in Venice. But you did have the hounds of hell, the church hounds, the church screams. But we'll jump to that shortly because we're going to go to the unicorn murder scene.
Oh yeah, and by the way, another classic example. When we were in that mountain with Cesare and stuff, it's literally like Bennett was in a different TV show to Severino. They were you two were who are these people? And Bennett was like, your leg's hurting, man.
Yeah.
That was Bennett's just giving away all these secrets and Severino and Agatha are going
shut the hell up.
This is strange. We've been told that we're going to chase a man
and to be honest, I'm ashamed to admit only some of that was role playing. There was it was just over my head for a moment. I was and then it was only when you guys started being suspicious, I was like, oh right, we did just get told about it.
Yeah, because there's the Lady of Winter or whatever her name was, she's not subtle.
No.
It's
No.
Yeah. So it's oh no. It's am I going to have to mug another player character to get him to shut up?
No, but as I said, you played your characters. Theodore
Yeah.
Bennett has no guile until the end, until we're talking about Saints fingers and stuff. But he had no guile, and he didn't see the worst in everyone. Whereas Severino, I think, just did.
Yeah, he'll manufacture it in his head without proof. That's
Exactly.
great.
And Agatha, I think, was wise to the world. So she knows the world is not altogether altruistic. There are people out for themselves. So she's a little bit more cautious. So again, I just love the fact that you played your characters. You did exactly what your characters would have done, and I thought that was brilliant. So,
I can't remember what is it you said about Lucrezia, but she made me think of is it Bellatrix Lestrange?
yeah, there was a bit of
Just
Bellatrix.
she's
in
like
her.
a psychopath, just waiting to pounce. Even though she's
Yes.
just sitting on the wagon, I just thought, nah, there's something not right here.
I spent like half that episode trying to find a gif of the crazy lady from Avatar: The Last Airbender, because that's like, but it's very similar vibe to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also the immediate.
See, I leaned
vibe I
hard
got.
into Drusilla from Buffy.
Oh, yes.
I just leaned hard into that. But what was interesting, the way you lure a unicorn is you have to use a virgin. So they used Lucrezia to lure the unicorn into the clearing where Cesare and the other gentleman, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, killed it for the horn. So that's why Lucrezia was in play. And I thought it was a great way to introduce her to you as well as Cesare without, to Theodore, to the other two, yes, without like drawing undue suspicion. So it was kind of a bit of fun on my behalf, just to, so the audience probably knows what's going on, but the characters didn't. And I thought that was a bit of a good way of doing it.
Yeah, the unicorn was good. I definitely remember it being a good scene.
So much fun making those sound effects. Oh my god. If you haven't heard it, listen to it. It sounds like a butcher shop. It's not pleasant. Yes, so that was the unicorn. And also, I think this is Severino where I dropped the hint about the hypergeist. You have a chat with Umbra,
Yeah,
and
because he started saying he's coming and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
He's coming.
Yeah, bugger.
Yes, and Bennett, that's when you also had your Palazzo Dario encounter, which does exist in Italy. It is in Venice. It's considered to be haunted. It has had a traumatic
Pretty sure I
experience.
googled it when you
Yeah.
brought it up. Yeah.
I did like the screenshots you provided of the real places and, you know, with all the paintings and the building there. It was, you know, it's just a little thing, but it goes a long way because, like, oh, bang, you can imagine your character
Yeah,
standing there.
yeah.
Yeah, that was all really cool. And there's a lot of that once we were back in town.
Yeah, I think having those background images just help. Just kind of lock the idea in your head. Oh, okay, this is what I'm at. This is what I'm doing. Okay, cool.
Well, the one with all the different paintings, I thought, shit, is this some sort of portal nexus and we've got like a mystery in each of these paintings? Holy shit.
No, alas, no.
We're just going to make our career or something? I thought, wow.
No. But yeah, that's when Bennett met up for the second time with James Doyle and you. Let's just say I did sandbag you into that.
Yeah. Speaking of things I'm definitely going to steal for future campaigns, having the pinnacle of someone's character arc be a joke, as in like a trick, is somehow more evil than anything you could actually do, like horrifically to someone. It never even once crossed my mind, and therefore Bennett's mind. Up until the rock went through the window or whatever it was, he was genuinely like trying to figure out which painting to steal, what the significance of it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It
like,
was just all a setup.
so, you can go back and listen to it, but I am like literally stunned. Like, I did not know what to say or do. Like, it was like 1-to-1. Bennett's and Jim, it was just the exact same
Yeah.
level of just shock.
We weren't anywhere near him, so we couldn't do
No.
squat to help. So it's like,
No.
Yeah.
that's the
And you weren't
good
supposed to
example
be.
of us keeping secrets. We can't help each other when that shit goes up.
Yeah. So, alas, Osseo was always going to die. I actually honestly thought it was going to be by Bennett's hand. Like he would have picked up a pillow and just put it over his mouth or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just the vibe of like where Bennett was going as a character. I was like, he's just not like there. Like I could imagine if it had gotten to a proper scuffle, then maybe like an accidental gunshot or something like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think. Yeah, I don't think he was at the point where he would be so proactive in murdering.
In solving a problem.
Yeah.
But that's why he had the heart attack. But because of all that violence in the room, it still would have obviously looked suspicious to the Carabinieri who investigated it, which is why they were going high.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. So starts the downfall of Theodore Bennett. Oh, man. That was crazy fun. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? So, yes, that's when you encounter the plague doctor and you end up meeting the Samblanca, who says, give me his head in regards to Cesare. At that point, you had no idea who Cesare was. You didn't even have his name. You just knew he was a hunter and killing Vaesen. And I deliberately did that because I didn't want the jig to be up. I did not want you guys to realize that this young man that you meet with an injured leg was your quarry, even though the Samblanca said, I'm sending it to him. So, because, who knows what you're going to meet out in the woods. He was just an innocent boar hunter.
No, see, that's why Agatha was like, hang on.
Yeah. Trust that voice. Trust that inside voice. Yeah. So that was, I thought, a really good way to introduce you guys to our evil NPCs. Is Cesare evil, though? Someone say yeah?
Absolutely.
You're just biased.
Yeah, I mean,
Even
there was
his mother decided he could not be redeemed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know so much about Cesare's soul or anything like that, but there was a moment where I was like, oh, what is Bennett's stance exactly on like Vaesen and what they, what their rights, I guess, should be. But it was tough when you're already in the society. Like, it's like you've already kind of enrolled to us.
You've had your red pill.
After the unicorn, nah, fuck those guys. Just nah.
Yeah, hard to argue with with the pure innocence of a unicorn.
That's why I chose the unicorn, because I'm like, what is the most prettiest, purest expression of Vaesen goodness?
Yeah, it didn't even get the chance to fart rainbows.
No, it did not. It did not. It bled rainbows before its head got chopped into pieces.
But pre that, a Vaesen is telling us to go whack a person.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's that dichotomy. She was Winter. Now the Samblanca's interesting, and I'm really pissed I found a loose reference to it in a Google search, and I've lost it and I can't find it again, which pisses me off. But she is the embodiment of Winter, ancient. I read that people who got lost in the mountains were considered, especially children, considered a sacrifice to her. So people were deliberately sent into the mountains, but if they got lost and died, they said, oh, that's the Samblanca, she's just taking, a maiden, or it's just Winter takes. That's why she didn't care about you measly human beings. Winter, immutable. So for her to say to you to kill another human, she's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, that principle of taking another life obviously is different because we have those ethics and morals.
Well,
And
the Dr. Bennett was like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, look, I'll agree to do it if she doesn't kill us because of what he's saying. Oh, no.
Because Bennett's a principled man, and those principles will get
Very.
everyone killed.
yes, you were pissing her off, but she held her tongue. No, she's fine. That's why she sent you away into the middle of the wilderness. But yeah, so I thought that was a good way to introduce you to the nemesis, one of the nemesis that really will influence the rest of the campaign in such a great way. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think that was it. That's where we kind of left that mystery. Yeah, you found it. Seal. Yep, no, that's it. And I think we left it with
So did Agatha and or Sharon suspect at that point who Cesare was?
ooh, Sharon.
Yeah, so when the pendant was dropped on the road,
Yeah.
and picked it up, yeah, Agatha knew.
We discussed the pendant that Agatha had, and I knew Cesare had the other half of it. So, and that was obviously the pendant that he lost. Yeah, and the penny dropped, and Agatha's like, "Oh, crap."
I'm pretty sure that you would have seen my face doing all sorts of things.
It
as I-
did. It was amazing. I was so chuffed. It was brilliant. And then, yeah, Agatha has to kind of deal with the fact that her son, her long lost son, is on the opposite team. So that's a lot for her to deal with, and just murdered a unicorn, the evil lout. So yeah, I thought it was fun to start, and that was the start of Agatha's, I wouldn't say downfall. I don't think I punished you as, no, I did mess with you as hard as I did everyone else, but
Well, her
I think
son
it's-
hold a knife to her throat. That was pretty freaking
Yeah.
dark
Yeah.
moment.
Did get the James Bond torture scene treatment.
tied to a chair. Yeah, it was a bit of fun, I must admit. And so it continues. Mystery 4, where we come across the Black Man. So this is when Bennett Sr. is in Venice, and you have a couple little run-ins with him, Bennett,
Yeah.
and he absolutely eviscerates you. And I must admit, I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing like just a complete regression of a person in front of their parental figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the scariest parts of this horror campaign was asking him for like the piece of paper, I can't remember, to be able to go on that boat.
Go on the ship. Yep.
That was one of the scariest things that it had to do.
Yes. And he set you up. No, he didn't set you up. Just the way it played out, you were never going to come away smelling roses. Because
No, because
Yeah.
I would have had to have somehow proven to someone even more skeptical than Bennett that there was a plague Vaesen, and we put its bones in some water on an island, and that made it all stop. It was just
Yeah,
like,
because I'm used to, hashtag Team Arson, let's just burn the fucking boat. But no, you two wanted to go ahead with this grand disguise heist shenanigans. I'm
You
like,
didn't-
oh, okay.
you didn't enjoy Ocean Spree.
The weirdest thing was it actually mostly worked.
Yeah, unheard
It's
of.
like what the
Genuinely.
hell? This
Yep.
heists never work in a
No.
game. They just go off badly. What the hell?
Blades in the Dark is literally designed off of the theory that it's impossible for a heist to be planned and executed successfully.
But you guys rolled really well. And that's the thing. The first time Bennett tried to do a heist on his own, he screwed that pooch so hard. And that's where Ossiel died. But this time around, you guys were all working together and you were all rolling. And I'm like, I could throw a bad roll and just, snatch it from you, but screw it. You guys have done so well. I thought I'd give you a little reward. And I knew there was more to come anyway, so swings and roundabouts. So yes, this session takes place primarily at the Lazzarato Vecchio, so the old plague island, which from what I've been researching was a pretty horrific place. So yeah, a lot of people died back then. It was ridiculous. What do you do? Those were the times, I guess.
I thought something on the island was going to get the guy on the boat, so we'd come back and there wouldn't be a boat there. There'd just be a dismembered body. It's like, well, shit.
I was sure that we were going to go back and there wouldn't be a boat.
Okay.
See, and I was thinking like something timey-wimey was about to happen, and we were like going to go back or see things from that time.
I should have actually pulled that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea, actually.
Because I mean, this is just me coming up with random storylines that don't exist. But I was like, well, then I'm a doctor in a plague hospital. Like how crazy would that be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also thought, with the wolves chasing us, am I going to have to hammer throw Agatha into the temple so that she can survive and I'll get torn apart by wolves or something?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, they're getting closer. Yeah. This is not good.
And it's actually really good that you made the decision to run rather than fight, because you wouldn't have won that battle. Church Greaves, you shoot them and they'll go poof, and then they'll come back. So you'll never win that battle. So you made the right decisions, and no, I did not prompt any one of you to keep running. And the only thing that protected you was the iron in that church. But the thing is, those church screams didn't exist. They only existed when the black man was released. And then they prowled that graveyard until such time as the bones were reinterred.
And
that makes sense. Or the relic.
That evil spirit or whatever, that was the plague doctor? Or
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Okay.
So it was basically, what the concept of miasma is. It's really rampant back then. It's that bad air, that foulness. That was disease back then. They believed disease came from miasma. So I wanted to have it that when the bones were removed, the miasma was released, and it just consolidated into this just evil figure of death. And it just walked the streets like an angel of death and going, you die. And that's all it did. And just that idea in my mind is actually quite terrifying. Like, these are people who are, jumping off bridges or drinking themselves to oblivion. They're just people in a street and just
I wasn't sure if they were related or if the guy in the mask was actually Bennett Senior in a Jack the Ripper sort of vibe.
Actually, funny you mentioned Jack the Ripper, because as the campaign went ahead, and I know it never happened, Jim, but in the back of my mind, I was pushing Jim's character so hard to that breaking point. I'm like, I could very easily imagine Bennett going back to England and getting up to mischief in Whitechapel, aka becoming Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. I honestly think his bumbling interactions with prostitutes saved his morale. Once I played those things, I'm like, this guy can't become some kind of monster. He's too ridiculous.
No, he couldn't. But I have to admit, the little voice in the back of my head was giggling in glee because I'm like, oh, I could keep pushing. It could happen.
The few times I've made doctors in other games, they've almost always been, horrible people. So different change of players. Well, I mean, we were very briefly in a cult game where I played a doctor. We didn't get very far in that one. But that guy wasn't a good dude.
So this was also where I got to introduce the concept of the reliquaries, which is the saints' bones. And yes, that's where we had the whole caper to the ship and getting them. Well, number one, that I'm jumping way ahead. We identified that there was a reliquary in the altar that had been stolen, which is then what released all this. Black Man and the church grims and so forth.
Well, a lot of that came from Agatha's networking with the church and stuff.
Correct.
Like, Severino had no freaking idea. It's just like, there's a bad dude out there.
And there is a spine of Agatha carrying going on for like most of the storyline. Especially this one. This one is like, she basically found everything out. She was the one that put the bones back in and stopped us all from dying. It's just, yeah.
It was pretty good. Said you did the heist amazingly well. You got the ship. You got your chicken fingers.
That's what I forgot about the chicken fingers.
I haven't. But yes, you found the reliquary in the box and you put it back where it belonged, and all of a sudden it just stops. Everything just stopped. So you put the genie back in the bottle and you corked it. And hopefully the way it disappeared into the cistern, it will never be found. At least for several hundred more years. Then they can deal with it later. But there was no other way of destroying. You couldn't destroy. You can't destroy evil, can you? It just exists. So this was just a way of keeping it contained. And again, I enjoyed it. And this was, I think, a special request from Sharon to do the Plague Island.
It was, yes.
So can we do something with Plague Island? Okay, I can spin that. I can do that. It's easy. There's plenty of fodder there. And then we come up to New Year's Eve, which starts with a religious procession before things, go boom. And that is where we come once more into direct conflict with the Society of the Black Rose. So, Agatha, you see, before you even see you do see Chesed. I should say, you spot him in the crowd. And these two boys are too distracted by other things. They don't realize that you kind of go following him, which was always part of my master plan.
Well, I didn't know anything about it. I think Agatha briefly talked with Dr. Bennett about it once because of the amulets or something, but Severino knew nothing, so he's got no point of reference. Oh, well, it's a party.
Again, secrets.
Plus, was this, because my notes maybe are out of order, but was this after Severino had got the shit beaten out of him or before?
Before.
Before.
It was before. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So, Agatha sees Chesed. She follows him into the church, and that is where we have, I call them weeping angels because that Doctor Who villain terrified me, but they're actually not really weeping angels. They are wooden statues of saints and the like who like to nosh on the occasional person.
Have you read Between Two Fires?
No.
Okay, carry on.
Should I?
I just thought you might be pulling directly from the chapter I just read in that book. That's fine. Continue.
To that author, I did not. I apologize. This came from my own twisted mind. So yes, that's where you come across your first encounter with these statues, which I love. Actually, I think they're an awesome bad.
I like that they were tied into the puppet thing because I'd completely forgotten about it by that point.
Yeah.
So
that was a really
nice callback.
Yeah, that was a really good natural progression of the same kind of thing. That's really good.
So you were right in when I said Geppetto, and you go, is this a Crossroads kind of deal? 100% it's a Crossroads type of deal. Absolutely. So Geppetto, as a result, becomes a master carver, has been doing this for years. To hold up his side of the bargain, he has to create a new statue every year. And that, Severino, was what he was going to use you for. but you slid out of my trap. I don't know.
Not for like trying on Severino's part.
Yeah.
It was like,
'Cause he
paint
could-
me.
Yeah, because he didn't get it. He hadn't joined the dots on that one. He's like, oh, sweet.
Yeah. But no, you screwed my plans. Like, damn it! I was going to mess with you pretty hard, actually.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Severino was like Dr. Bennett when he met Cesare. Dr. Bennett hadn't joined the dots, and in this one, Severino hadn't. He was just completely oblivious to all the shit that was going on right in front of him.
That's fine. That's 100% absolutely fine. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes we see what's in front of us, sometimes we don't. You know? But yes, so part of that deal, as I said, he had to make a statue every year. Another part of that deal is one of those statues would eat someone every year. And that forms the deal. So every year, someone died, essentially. And it just happened that Agatha was in the church when that statue animated and ate someone. And that's when Cesare got the jump. He didn't know, but that's why the Order of Black Rose was in Venice at that time, because I knew this was going to happen. And if you remember in a newspaper article I mentioned several sessions back, dynamite or TNT had been stolen from an army base in Padua.
Yeah, I got friggin' blame.
No, you didn't, but you did make a smart ass comment. That,
that cop blamed me.
Yeah, well. So they'd stolen that explosive and they then rigged all those statues because they knew they would eat someone. They just mistimed it slightly. They had to time it for the fireworks, otherwise that mass panic would ensue. It still did to a degree, but it'd be worse. So in some respects, you kind of go, the Black Rose were doing what they had to do. They were fighting their way. It's just it. But yes, Sharon, that's where you got nabbed.
Mm-hmm.
You got nabbed hard. And you had good old conversation with Caterina Sforza, who read your history books. She was an amazing lady, not like this lady I've written about in my book, in my game. She was an amazing lady back in the day. And you also had a conversation with Cesare and Lucrezia. Cesare revealed to you he was your son, and you both had a very philosophical discussion about right and wrong and moralities.
I've never seen such an aggressive philosophical debate while like tied to a chair.
I know, it's great. I'm like, I'm sweating, I'm squirming because I'm like, oh, how do I respond to this? How do I answer that? It's hard actually having debate when it's not your personal stance. It's quite tricky. But yes, no, it was a very terse exchange. Is that what you'd call it, Sharon?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it got capped off with you meeting the craziness of Lucrezia. And you shut her down pretty quick, I have to admit, which is a bit of a shame because there was something I wanted to drop. I kind of obliquely dropped it, but I didn't get a chance to expand it out a little bit. But basically, Lucrezia is the one that killed Attilo, which is then what prompted you to all get your letters to come to the city, if that makes sense. So...
Because he fell down the stairs or something?
He did. Very good.
Yeah.
He had a little help. And this was Lucrezia responding to Caterina doing a, will someone rid me of this priest moment, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Doing a Henry II. Henry II, I think it is. And offing the Archbishop of Canterbury. And so this was her way of trying to get her mother's approval and respect and furthering the goals of the Black Rose. So I just didn't get to expand on that, but I thought it was well and truly within her wheelhouse to just bump an old man down some stairs. So I had a lot of fun. I am twisted. I cannot help myself. I think that's kind of where we ended. So Severino, you got yourself into a spot of bother after the explosions because you got jumped. That's when you got jumped. And again, that was the Society of the Black Rose because they shot Geppetto. So he got murdered. And then they're like, 2 birds, 1 stone. So they knocked you out, which is why they couldn't kill you. They knocked you out and they dropped you at the scene of the murder with the gun in your hand. Granted, it didn't have ballistics back in those days, but still, it's pretty damning. And that was going to be their attempt at trying to, get rid of you pesky people. On top of their campaign of, not miscommunication, but
propaganda.
their spear campaign against you as well. So that was going to help lend credence to that. So, yeah.
The only like character in the entire campaign that Bennett was suspicious of was that police officer.
I know.
He was like, I cannot tell if you're evil or incompetent or just, misinformed. It took all the way to the end to finally figure that out.
Yeah. But as I said, but you're not going to understand. He's paranoid. He's always been paranoid from dawn.
Yeah, it was the one scenario where both just like, get a load of this guy.
But he was going to be an ally, and the way I see this, if we keep doing this, like we do it again down the track for another, in 10 years in the future, won't take me 10 years for another campaign, but I'm just saying if we go future, I would see him firmly as part of the team. You need police help to help you hide the bodies. But no, because he's now invested. He understands what's at play, whereas before he didn't. He was in the dark. He's learning. He was where you guys were in session 1. And that was kind of, I thought, a bit neat. And they always look at everyone with suspicion. You have to prove yourself to be legit, if you will.
Yeah, I thought he was on the Black Rose payroll and he was just trying to push us into doing what the propaganda was already saying about us, basically. So I'm just like, I'm just waiting for him to piss off the doctor enough and then I can take the gloves off and just kill him in front of everybody. Because I'm like, nah, this guy's pissing me off. He kept talking, so I'm like, as long as he's talking,
he's not
fine.
dead. Yeah, exactly. And I think, Jim, you actually got civilian or out. You were able to really fast talk your way to get somebody out of that murder scene.
It was the only progression Bennett had the entire campaign was I just made him better and better at lying at every possible opportunity.
The corruption.
Yeah.
Corruption starts. And then you end up back at the villa, and that's when you meet Arturo, and Arturo starts to go, hey, what's going on? And Agatha, you got released after the explosion. Yes, after the explosions. And you headed back. So I kind of, thought that was a good way to wrap up Mystery 5. And then we roll onto our last mystery.
But there is a question first.
Please.
I need answered. What
Please.
did the Black Rose do to all the offal?
Remind me. I remember where the offal comes from.
She was sending presents.
Oh,
Sending presents because we had the
that's right.
Habergas after us, and the Black Rose had proceeded to slander us. So Agatha was petty and had every single butcher in the city just dump offal on their doorstep.
A bit of combination of it goes into the canals, we get rid of it. Just they would have dealt with it.
This is the difference reaction between Bennett being like, oh my god, like what are we at war now? And then Agatha just being like,
Yep.
I know what to do here.
It was good though. It was so cool actually. because it's not a meaningful swipe, but it's just a screw you. But as you alluded to, that propaganda campaign really just besmirched your reputation in the city. And as Mystery 6 started, you found that you were on the outs with a lot of those people that you had been colluding with over your time in Venice, which would be several months by this stage. People just didn't trust you. I won't say they didn't trust you. I think there was just that element of doubt put in their head, and there's enough people for them to go, I won't go there unless I have to, versus, oh, I've got a big cut, I'll go straight to Dr. Bennett. Or, you know, the ladies speaking to Severino, because Severino would go quite often around the city and talk to people and just help them out, give them some food. And even he was stonewalled with that. Agatha, you with your church ladies, stonewalled. It's not that people believed it, they were just, what if? So they're just being self-protective, but the smear campaign worked, and that was the whole point. I wanted you out of the city. Which then leads us on to the harbour guys. So, but that follows, first of all, you have Carnivale. And as a writer, I will say my weeping statue idea was going to happen during Carnivale, but because Adelaide left, I just wanted to rejig some things, and I had to then make Severino's story the final story of the whole campaign. So I just had to do some.
Well, he got the shit beaten out of him by 4 soldiers, and if it wasn't been for the delightful ladies of the night who pulled him out of the canal,
correct,
he'd be dead. So
yes.
It's just where we didn't make good with them.
Correct.
Because they literally saved his life.
Yes.
And
yes.
It had a certain charm to it, building up to this huge evening, and then it just going okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure we all were holding our breath for, oh god,
like,
what
it's
is
gonna go.
Yeah.
I know, and that's part of it though. But I think for me, even they wanted to have a night off. They wanted to enjoy themselves. They were.
We should have done something to them on Carnival. That's what we should have done.
Wow. When Agatha was tied up in that chapel, which incidentally is the only church in Venice that has a underground crypt. I did not know this, so next time I go, I have to go have a look. But when Agatha was in that crypt, there was lots of noises that she heard, a lot of movement, a lot of things being opened and closed. They were packing up. They were packing up to leave Venice. They were going to do it after they set off all the explosions. So they weren't around in Venice, in Carnivale, to annoy you. Or if there would only be a couple of agents there. You wouldn't have that branch of the order in your faces, which is why nothing happened. They just didn't have the capability to do and mess with you. And alas, that is the last time we see the order, which is a bit sad. I like them, but hey, they have other fish to fry. So yes, you have your Carnivale, which is awesome. And then you get 3 people rocking up at your door in a very similar way as you did in the first mystery, going, we need your help.
Underlined exclamation mark.
Mm-hmm. Throw the hook out and reel them in.
Bennett is holding a goat, I believe, at this point, was it? What was
yes.
it? Yes. Nailed to the door.
Yes, you had a goat skin.
That's right, a goat skin, yeah.
Banged onto your door. You, I believe, it would have assumed it was the Order of the Black Rose.
We did.
It was not. As Severino was aware, that was a threat from the harbour guys himself. His agents.
So,
Your turn, sir.
A couple of years before the campaign started, Severino was in the Austrian military and he was camping out in the woods, and he hears some weird noises. Goes to investigate, and there's a really badly wounded person there and this big bear sort of thing. And he goes to help the person, and the bear attacks, and it's like a werebear. It's not quite a bear. It's not quite a human. And he gets wounded too. Something jumps out of the wounded person into him and says, look, I can help you out, but we need to go. And he's like, cool, we're off. So he runs off. And that's how he got possessed by Umbra, a Vaesen.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to work while he's getting used to this whole sharing a body shit deal for several weeks in the military. So far, keeping it all down low. It's not too bad. That was him gaining the sight and stuff. And then one night he goes to a pub and he realizes, shit, a bunch of the people in here are possessed by this Harbour Guys thing. And he has to shoot a few of them to get the hell out of there, not be captured and sacrificed, eaten, whatever. One of them was an Austrian major, and he killed him and had to flee for about 6 months straight across Austria and the top of Italy.
He was a hunted man.
Yes, that's why I was so paranoid.
See, I never put together. I never figured out exactly what the Austrian connection. Not obviously, other than you were part of it.
Yeah.
He
had to, because he was just like a private or corporal or whatever in the Austrian military, but because he had to kill a guy who was possessed, but he was a major. So they think, not only is he a deserter, he's an assassin or some shit. So the Austrian military is after him, as well as the Harbour Guys. This other shit.
Now, why was the Harbour Guys after Umbra?
It used to be its minion, basically. Yeah. It's the thing that lured kids to it, to feed it.
Mostly kids.
Mostly kids and innocents and shit to feed it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've had enough of this. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's get out of the hell away from this thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it doesn't take traitors lightly.
A deserter all round.
Yes.
A couple of deserters.
It was either that or stay there and get eaten or sacrificed or whatever. It's like, well...
And both the Austrian military and the Harbour Guys clearly hold a grudge for a long time because they travel a long distance to...
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I would say the Austrian army weren't necessarily looking for Severino.
He's just a known...
Yeah, if they stumbled across him, great.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't help that Chester did dob you in.
Yeah, well, I put out some propaganda against him because, well, he was awesome.
Yeah, so you know what? I can play dirty too.
It's all good.
So yes, you come across the mystery where you have to go and find 3 people who've gone missing. Only 1 body had been recovered. 2 are still outstanding. And so you head off into the Alps. And yeah, it's a hunt where you got to use Severdino's location skills, and Bennett your medical skills, and Agatha your nous, and you guys were able to follow the blood trail and find a clearing, and then you found yourself face to face with the big Harbour Guys. It's Wolf, Minion, and Kestrel.
I was thinking some of the ways to kill it we found out about were, inverted commas, was actual bullshit, and we were actually preparing ourselves to be sacrificed. Mm-hmm. I thought the Harbour Guys was sort of ahead of us with that, but thankfully he wasn't that.
No.
Which is good.
No, it is good. It came in handy, and I am so grateful they had a tour to follow you, because the battle that followed.
Fucking Vaesen, right? It's like we do all this amazing shit, and I was saying before that Agatha really carried. Unfortunately, that does not carry into the final combat. She gets soloed by a bird.
Oh, that poor bird's just wanted some feed, and she just kept whacking it for no reason.
Thank goodness for Agatha's ever-present, very English umbrella.
The MVP umbrella, yeah. I mean, Bennett didn't do much better. I think I shot like 7 times.
Yeah.
And I think I hit like once and did a little bit of damage. Yeah, it was rough.
Agatha grabbed a rock and threw it and hit. So, you know, you got to keep trying. But that's what I said at the very start. Vaesen is deadly.
Yeah. Yes, I felt like I was
As you
hacking through a
found.
brick wall with a salad knife.
Yeah. And that's why I actually had a Turo come in, because I knew the balance of power wasn't in your favor. So a Turo would have helped balance those scales. And I am grateful because, Agatha, you were down for like 5 frozen. And I'm like, if I didn't have a Turo there, you guys would be dead. It would have been a TPK. And I did not fudge any of my dice rolls. So what I had is what you saw. And that was close.
When the horse was coming, I thought it was going to be Cesare,
Yeah.
but he was going to kill me as well. It's like, thanks for your help, bang.
Insult to injury. Yeah, no. He's got other fish to fry. You're little potatoes as far as he's concerned.
So did you bring the captain in? Did you already know you were going to bring him in, or did you see the way things were unfolding and bring him in?
It was column B.
Yeah, because I guess I'm a bit surprised because of that. Because I think Blake probably agrees, but I certainly went into that fight thinking like, this is like the TPK is the point. Not a point per se, but that we were gonna die. Like
I thought one of us might die, and it might limp off wounded to the woods to come back 100 years later or some shit. But no.
No. I will never set up anyone for a TPK. If it happens, it's just because the dice gods.
Yeah, not that it couldn't have been a win, but that it was like,
it was
cards
gonna be a
on
hard
the table.
fight.
Yeah, whoever wins wins kind of thing.
Yep. I didn't want to do that. I just did not want to do that to you because I knew what would happen if A happened and if B happened. I didn't know either. So I had both up.
Yeah.
Things planned out. And I kind of like that. It's just the nature of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yes, look, literally, and I sort of followed you simply because you were linked to Osiel's murder. Then Severino was linked to Geppetto's death. And then after he gives you the riot act, did you guys disappear? It's like, what's going on? So of course he's been telling you for the last 2-3 days.
We'll just say Agatha made us do it.
Yeah, of course.
She's the Ma Baker of the group.
Completely.
Mark Clampett. No, so that's kind of how that went. And in terms of fights, I think that was the closest one I've ever experienced. I think you had 1 point left, Jim. Agatha, I think you had 1 point left, and sadly Severina was DOA.
Yes.
But that just underscores how brutal Vaesen is. There is no.
Yeah, I figured that bit when 4 soldiers took me to negative in bloody 1 round. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're lucky Umbra gave you a boost to just not to get out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that played out, and then I mean, what can I say? You didn't find the other 2 bodies, and there were no people to be found in the caves. They were dead.
Oh,
So
lovely.
he ate them. That's what he does. So there was no bodies to be found. Or he drained them. I shouldn't say he ate them. He drained them.
No, I hope he got gastro.
She's got a few things. So, then everyone goes back to Venice, and that's kind of where we left it. But we left it to the point that our little society is going to continue, maybe with a new member in the captain. But yeah, life goes on.
Yeah, I considered. I tried to think of alternatives to staying with the society for Bennett, and nothing really stood out to me as a natural fit for him.
Certainly not burglary.
No.
We'll go back to England.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only question was whether or not he was gonna I think the end of his story was gonna be, does he keep the clinic or not, basically. Which I think because Severino died, he probably would keep the clinic. But yeah, other than that, I feel like no, it makes sense at this point. Society still makes the most sense for his character.
Yeah. I really felt that Bennett forged his own fruit. He did everything his father did in England. You've done that in Venice. So to me, that made a lot of sense. And I was really glad to see Agatha and Bennett stay on. So we shall see. And if I do run a campaign in the future, Blake, you'll have to come up with another character. I'm sorry.
That makes sense.
Unless we we can't dig you up.
Well, what happened to Umbra?
Umbra's gone.
Don't know.
Umbra died, dissipated. That's the thing.
I thought he might have jumped in the wolf and just ran off.
No, because the wolf was possessed.
Yeah. After the wolf went down, it swapped bodies.
No, the wolf was dead.
Oh, okay.
It needs an animated being to hijack. No, so Umbra just dissipated. It tried to save Severino. It failed. So you guys kicked off together. Unfortunately.
It worked out in that regard that that the final adventure mystery thing was Severino's, and that then Severino is the one that dies in it.
Yeah.
Because it's like a fitting end, I guess. For
Yeah.
Well, if Agatha actually died from the bird, that would be a bit of a bummer.
yeah, exactly. Like that's the one that sucked. It's like Agatha, she always hated birds. It makes sense. It's like
Yeah. It's revenge for all those bird feathers in her hearts. But the only reason why I attacked Agatha, and this is just me thinking like a dirty fighter, I don't care if you're down and out, I'm going to keep swiping you because eventually you're going to start coming up. Why not take out your enemy while they can't defend themselves?
I don't think anyone ever was like, that bird's not fighting fair. It's a possessed bird. It can do what it wants.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got a little imp in it. It's demon.
Yeah.
So yes, of course it's going to attack. And it being the weakest, it's going to attack the person the most vulnerable. I mean, that makes sense. So that's why it took the opportunity and started swooping versus just being up in the sky and surveying. But it was a smart one. It survived. So it flew off after the battle turned. So yes, that's pretty much Vaesen behind the masks. That took 6 months to write, but a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Had a lot going on for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces.
You should have seen my murder board. It was ridiculous. Oh my lord. Yeah. Anyway, but I enjoy it. It's a good chance to stretch the neurons and the creative muscles and make it happen. So I hope you all had a great time.
It was good.
Yeah.
You got any questions for each other or myself, or otherwise we'll.
Was there anything that you weren't happy with that didn't go how you'd have liked it to go?
Oh, that's a hard question because there were some things I had planned which didn't happen. Am I disappointed? No, it just forced me to think on my feet and find a way around, and it might have taken a little while around. I am sorry we lost to Adelaide because I thought that was a really cool storyline and it would have been good as the finale.
Yeah, that's the thing. I also liked it was only a couple of sessions, but I liked the dynamic that she added to the group. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and it's a shame that we lost Jared, but I get it. We get busy and life is what life is, and sometimes you want to play and you just can't. So 100% I get it, and I do. Yeah, I respect his decision, and that's fine. I've got no issue with that. I was like, and I worked as much of it, I salvaged as much as I could and put it into what we played. I said we just missed that last part of that campaign. But otherwise, no, I think it went good. as you notice with my book, I am a planner. I cannot help myself. I just like to have everything written down. So there were times when you did things and I'm like, oh crap, this isn't on my notes. Right, start tap dancing. But I have to admit, it wasn't too often, so I'm pleased with that. My only concern is, and I don't, please feel free to be blunt. I know sometimes I don't want to railroad players, and I try not to. I try to make everything the player's choice, but sometimes I feel like to have some things happen, events happen, I have to railroad sometimes. So I guess the question is, did you feel that you were constantly following a set path, or did you feel you had a bit of free will and could do whatever your characters felt was right in those circumstances?
I'm not sure it's got a railway. There was a section in the middle where there's kind of new threat and then new threat and then new threat, and you got a hard frame stuff to set up stuff, but there's kind of a bunch in a row.
Yep.
And to some extent, time management or threat management is kind of a threat on its own. So that's not unique to Vaesen. That happens in other games.
Okay.
It did seem a little bit overwhelming, but it wasn't like the whole time. There was just a couple of episodes in a row, and it's like, oh shit, we haven't
What's
dealt
happening?
Yeah,
with two
it's
threats ago.
Yeah.
Breathing room. What?
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
were all interesting. It's just
Yeah.
shit. Which one do we deal with? Which one do we deal with? Sort of
Okay.
thing. So
It's a bit
Yeah.
more pacing.
yeah.
Yeah, overwhelming is an interesting is something I would kind of agree with, and I think if it was a modern day detective thing, I think it would have been enough. Like it would have been okay. But
Mhm.
for me, at least, the additional layer of you need to investigate this crime or this mystery, and you need to do it in 1800s
Yeah.
Venice.
Because
Yeah.
there's no cards, there's no phone,
No.
so we can't separate and keep each other in the loop and
Yeah,
shit.
I
It's
was like, well,
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
Every time I want to do something, I need to figure out how do I do that in the 1800 Venice version of it. And
Yeah.
that's nothing to do with you. That's purely happens with all those kinds of what do you call them? Different timeline.
Yeah, you just had to work within
Part
the
of the
time frame
genre.
itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be challenging. You don't have the internet. You can't phone a friend.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, but no, it didn't feel railroaded. Like you understand the scope of the campaign, right? It's like it's a mystery based thing. It's not. I'm not going to go like, well,
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean,
Bennett,
you
Bennett
do
wants
need
to
to
start
hard
making
frame.
pies.
You do need to hard frame some things because sometimes running a group is like herding cats,
Oh,
Yes.
and
Oh,
you've got
yes.
to get people back together for at least duet scenes. So yeah, there is a time and place for hard framing. That's fine.
Okay. Cool. All right. Didn't do too badly then for a. What? This is my third campaign I think I run, so I'll take it and I'll run.
yes.
But yeah, I hope you guys all had a blast. I certainly did. Look forward to the next one.
Sounds good.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. So, to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed that as well. I hope you found this session insightful. I actually quite enjoy the Cantina sessions. Hope we do them more often. It's really great insights that we wouldn't be able to get any other way. So, Blake, Sharon, and Jim, for the last time, thank you once again for giving up your Tuesday night. And I guess I'll see you next game.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Ciao.